Okay, this is my first long range FPV. It's the MOZ7 and just arrived in the mail here the other day. Got to go ahead and put a few things together here. Not much, antennas and propellers and such. This is what's in the box. And then we've got to bind it and go ahead and program it with Betaflight. Before we do that, just show you the batteries here. Just got some gigantic batteries, 8,000 milliamp hour. They recommend 6,000, and this is lithium ion 15C. It's just a giant battery. This one's also 8,000. It's only 10C. So a little less current out of this one. This should outperform it a little bit, but should get some pretty good range out of these. Here's a closer look at it. It's got the DJI O3 system, which is great because it's compatible with my controller. I don't have to buy a new controller. It's also compatible with the DJI Integra Goggles and also my old V2 goggles. These I think have a little bit better range, but the clarity's not as good on the screen. You got 1080p out of this. It's a little better. So if this has good range, I'll probably stick with this. Otherwise, I'll switch with the other. But yeah, there it is. Okay, we've got the antennas on, and here's the external camera mount. I have a DJI Action 2 I can use if I choose to. I'll probably just go with the O3 camera. I think it's probably a pretty good quality camera, similar to what's in the Avata. But I have that option if we choose, so I'm going to go ahead and take the screws out and put these longer screws in here. There is the camera mount. Okay, we went ahead and put the straps on here, the battery pad, we got the props on. Only takes a few minutes to do this, very simple. Now we're going to go ahead and bind it. Here's what it looks like with the battery on here. This thing is an absolute beast. It's really heavy. Should go long range though. And we'll bind it to the DJI RC Controller 2 and the Goggles Integra. Little comparison here with the DJI FPV drone along with the Avata, and pretty interesting. This comes in around 800 grams. This comes in around 1,700, 1,600, 1,700. It is really heavy. And the prop comparison, these are 7.5 inch diameter, about 5 inch on the FPV drone. Batteries is the main thing. Both 6S batteries. This comes in, I think it's 195 grams, and this is 800. So you got 4 times the weight here, 4 times the energy. That's going to get it out there a long way. 3 different ports on here. We have the DJI O3 air unit port. This is for the flight controller for the drone for connecting up to Betaflight. Also right in here is for binding. There's a little area in there where you can stick a pin to bind it up to the controller and the goggles. And over on this side, this is for connecting up to the computer so you can check your firmware. And we'll start with this one. All of these had covers that have been removed. Okay, we're going to go ahead and check the firmware for the drone itself, the MOZ7, and it's just a USB-C cable. This is from my MacBook Air for charging, so I'm just using that. And the other end is a USB-C also. It just goes right into the computer. We got the DJI Assistant, and you got to make sure it's a consumer drone series. We've got that on there. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. And we'll see what firmware version we've got here. Takes a minute. There we go. And click on that. That's showing the O3 air unit there. And you can see the current version is V0102 and the latest version is V0103. And I believe that I can get by with the current version without having to upgrade, because I've got my controller and my goggles are on a lower version. So I'm going to give that a try before I go messing around with upgrading it. I'm going to go ahead and bind to the Integra Goggles. Got it all turned on. It's switched over to the DJI O3 air unit. Go ahead and plug this in. The bind is opposite the USB-C port. It's over here, right next to this little green light over here. If I can see where the, yeah, right there. Okay, so that's flashing. That's in bind mode. Now we switch this. 5 seconds. Okay, so that's in the binding mode now. And great, we got it. Now I just got to bind up the drone to the remote controller. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and shut off the goggles. Turn on the remote controller. Hit the bind button again on the drone. Right there. Okay, that's flashing. Press and hold this until you hear it beep, about 5 seconds. Okay, that should bind up. Let's hope. Ah, there we go. We got 4 solid lights. So now everything is bound up. That's great. Now we just got to program it in Betaflight, and that'll be the next thing we do. Here's the video through the goggles showing the layout of the information. This is the way it comes stock. Now I'm moving the drone around a little bit so you can actually see how the camera works. Okay, we've got Betaflight downloaded onto our PC here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on the remote controller. Takes a minute. Go ahead and plug this in. It should connect. Yep, there we go. Check to make sure. Yeah, it looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. All right. Now we'll go to our receiver. Okay, we're going to go ahead and check our sticks. Right roll, left roll, forward pitch, backward pitch or upward, yaw to the left, yaw to the right. That all seems to be correct. And now we'll try our throttle. Yeah, looks good. Everything seems to be in order there. So the sticks are working fine. Okay, we're going to go ahead and set up our switches in Betaflight. And I'm kind of following Danny McGee. He's got a great video on showing how to do this. Start with this switch right here. That's going to be our arming switch right there. And we'll set that up. And this will be our pre-arm. Got a little label on there so I don't forget where it is. This over here is going to be full acro mode, angle mode, and down like that would be horizon. I'll probably just use angle and acro, but take a little experience to see what I prefer here. And this is going to be our GPS rescue over here. And we've got a beeper switch over here so that it'll make an audible sound if we need to find it. That'll be over here. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, now we'll go down to modes. And we're going to do our arming switch. It happens to be aux 4. So we're going to put that on auxiliary 4. And it's this switch right here. Okay, that's in the unarmed position right now. Now it's back into arm. And it just toggles back and forth like that. So we'll go ahead and save that. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and set up our mode switch right here. And that is switch 1. I've changed that over here on the Betaflight for both. So when we move this right now, it is in angle mode. When I move it over here, it's the horizon buttons over here on the left, so I got to shift that over there to the left. Drag that over there. Okay. So now when it's in H or down here in the bottom on horizon mode, looks good. Now it's out of horizon mode and it's in angle mode. And up here it would be in acro mode. So that's all set up. Now we just need to go ahead and save it. And there we go. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and program our failsafe. Failsafe is used when the drone disconnects to have it start returning home according to whatever instructions you've programmed into it. So we're going to go ahead and add range right there. And this is the failsafe button right here. So that's switched over to aux 3. Okay, when you activate the failsafe, you can hear it beep. And the little yellow bar moves over to the right and then back into the zone right there. So toggle back and forth, GPS rescue, or back to normal. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do the beeper. I believe that one is aux 5 on the switch. Change that over to aux 5. Now we'll go ahead and we'll activate the beeper button in the front here. That's used in case you want to find your drone if it's crashed nearby. Okay, now it's in the active beeping stage. Here it's out, in, out. That's all programmed. We'll go ahead and hit save. And our beeper set up. Okay, next we're going to go ahead down here to the pre-arm. We're going to go ahead and put add range. And this is the switch we're going to use right here. So the pre-arm is to allow the drone not to be armed if you have it in that position. That's just a safety factor so that you don't accidentally hit the arming or the start switch and get the propellers to get your fingers or something. So we'll go over here, aux 2. Okay, and that looks like that's all set up. Nice. Okay. Very good. Now we're going to go ahead and save. Okay, just a quick check. Let's check and make sure we've done everything. We've got our arming set, the angle, and the horizon mode set, the failsafe, beeper set, and the pre-arm. Okay, and now we're going to go over here and enable expert mode up on the top, right there. And we're going to go to failsafe. And here's our settings over here. We don't want it to drop. We don't want it to land. We do want to use GPS rescue. They have a whole lot of parameters in here, and I watched quite a few videos to see what I think will work best for me. So the return, well, the maximum altitude means that it'll return up to that altitude when GPS rescue is activated during a failsafe. And then it'll do whatever you programmed in here. So the return altitude, I'm going to raise that to 100 meters. The reason I'm doing that is I fly up in the mountains a lot, and I want to make sure that if I get behind a mountain, it'll actually climb up well above any peaks in the way. And the ascent rate, I think that looks good. Return ground speed, I would like a little bit higher speed than that because my drone's pretty big and it typically flies at a higher speed. "12 meters per second, that should work. Pitch angle's okay. I think everything else on here is okay. And I like all the rest of these settings. So I'm going to go ahead and save and reboot. I think the maximum distance to home, 30. If you activate it any shorter than that or any less distance than that, it'll drop out of the sky, so that you want that to be pretty low. And I'm going to go ahead and save and reboot. Okay, now we're going to go down here to the OSD screen and check that out. I've already checked it out quite a bit. I think I like all of the default parameters that are in there. However, I am going to add one battery current milliamp hours drawn right there. I think that's really useful. I'm using an 8,000 milliamp hour battery, so when it gets half or around 4,000, I know I better start heading back. All the rest of this stuff looks pretty good. Fly mode, that'll tell us if it's in angle mode or acro. Be in acro most of the time. GPS data, satellites, all the rest of this stuff. And go ahead and save it. All right, it's saved, and that should do it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and land it.